We'll go to the next week. The next head-to-head is July 15th of 1996. And for Nitro, we are still at Disney. The show, to me, when I started it, it kind of felt like there was a buzz in there because Hogan was going to be here.
The atmosphere for WCW at the time was nice.
Zbyszko is welcome us to the show. He also mentions that he hears the NWO are recruiting for more members. So now we're going to start seeing this thing of who's the fourth man, who's the fifth, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of captivating as well, especially in the beginning. Now it gets really overdone, but I think in the beginning of this, it was an intriguing idea.
It gets a bit bloated.
Pretty quickly, but I do like the idea. But to open up, we do get Fire and Ice versus the Steiner brothers. This is like the second or third time they've had this matchup.
Yeah.
The announcers during this match tell us that Kevin Green is here. Again, most of these matches are kind of similar between these two. These guys just hit each other.
There was one point where Rick Steiner does a belly-to-belly to Ice Train. It looks like he spikes him on his head.
He does. I noted that too. It looks bad. It's bad. During the match, Teddy Long walks down to the ramp. He looks like he might be interested in managing this team.
So the finish is essentially Scott Steiner takes out Scott Norton, and then he helps Rick Steiner get a German suplex on Ice Train. It looks like it was supposed to be a bridge pin, but Rick Steiner loses grip on Ice Train. So Rick Steiner has to turn around and then stay on top to get the pin. So it's just very, very awkward.
But yet the Steiner brothers win. Not the best match between these two. This is probably their worst match. Again, I think they've had 2 or 3 matches now. So it's definitely the weakest one. Oh, well. But the crowd always likes to see the Steiners throw people around, and who doesn't? I mean, that's always great to see. Mm-hmm. So at least you get that. But after the match, we do get a ramp interview with Kevin Sullivan, Jimmy Hart, and Big Bubba. Sullivan says the Dungeon of Doom is watching each other's backs. He says that they lived for the end of Hulkamania and they didn't know that Hogan was going to try to take over the WCW. But Sullivan tells us that Jimmy Hart has a plan. As this is happening, Ice Train and Scott Norton walk up and they are seen arguing. So it looks like we're maybe planting some seeds that this team may not be together much longer.
Yes. As you looked up in your research, you said that Ice Train was the one that put the kibosh on the tag team, right?
Yes, Ice Train did put the kibosh on this. He just viewed himself more of a singles wrestler and didn't think that he could get to where he wanted to go by being in a tag team.
He was wrong 100%. Because Fire and Ice, they could have been something, I think.
I agree. I think they could have. Maybe you could change the name. Fire and Ice isn't exactly the coolest
name.
You
could definitely change the name. But I feel like that 2 Hosses teaming together, I felt they could have worked. I think he should have stuck with tag team.
I think Ice Train has some potential. He's a good athlete. He's strong.
He looks like someone that has, like Otis, that is just, you can tell they're just strong as hell. Mm-hmm. Just by looking at him. So pure corn-fed strength and Ice Train.
Barrel-chested.
But yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart, he says that he will do whatever it takes to make the Dungeon of Doom the best faction in WCW. No, you won't. Never happening. Anyways.
Now, I do think the Dungeon gets better. 97 is the best they look, but that's not saying much, is it?
No, no. Jimmy Hart tells the Horsemen that it's over for them, and then Sullivan tells us that Benoit got too personal at the Great American Bash, and unfortunately, the personal stuff hasn't even begun. Another year of it, at least. But then we get a ramp interview with Fire and Ice. Norton tells Ice Train that when he put this tag team together, they were supposed to be winning titles, but Ice Train keeps screwing up. And to be fair, Scott Norton, Ice Train hasn't really screwed up that many times. This breakup felt rushed. But Ice Train tells Scott Norton that at least he does things within the rules. And as they're arguing, Teddy Long walks up and he tells the men that he thinks that they are a great tag team and he would hate to see them break up. Norton pushes Teddy to the ground and tells him to stay out of their business. And Ice Train tells Norton that if Norton wants some, he'll get some. Norton ends it with saying that this ends with them, and Ice Train tells Norton that it will end sooner than you think. And he's not wrong. Fire and Ice ended a lot sooner than I thought. But for the next match for Nitro, we get Billy Kidman versus Dean Malenko. Again, Billy Kidman is just a jobber. He doesn't have the long hair.
When Malenko comes out, Jimmy Hart tries to get the word with Malenko. But Malenko just ignores him.
Yeah, he kind of shoos him away. The reason that Jimmy Hart's coming out, because it looks like he's trying to recruit him to the Dungeon of Doom to be against the Horsemen, which is Benoit, of course, because Malenko and Benoit are going to have a match at Hog Wild. So Malenko talks to the camera after that. He says it's a bad day to be a Horseman, and he tells Benoit to pay attention to this match. And he says it's a good day to be Malenko. Hitman actually got some offense in, which I was kind of surprised.
The ending of this match is fantastic. It's basically 20 seconds of Malenko just bridging moves together. So he starts off with a brainbuster on Kidman, and then immediately picks him up, and then does a power bomb. And then he immediately picks him up again, and then double underhook power bomb. And then immediately changes that to the Texas Cloverleaf for a win. So it was just fantastic chain wrestling.
It was very nice. This was a good match for an enhancement match, so this was fun to watch. But after this, we get a ramp interview with Kevin Green. Green says he is upset about Hulk Hogan and how he stabbed all the Hulkamaniacs in the back. Kevin Green says he took his vitamins and said his prayers, and the world found out that Hogan didn't believe in any of that. And then he moves on to Mongo, and he tells Mongo that he doesn't want to wait to fight him. He wants to fight him tonight. He says he has about 2 hours, and he tells Gene that if he sees Mongo, then tell him, because he wants Mongo and he wants him now.
He's going on a Mongo hunt.
Yeah, going on a Mongo hunt. All right, so that's the first 2 matches there. Let's move over to Raw. We open up with a confrontation between Camp Cornette and Shawn Michaels' team. I don't know, they have a name, but they're just arguing to each other, so that's how we open it up. And then we move to the first match, which is Bart Gunn with Sonny versus Ahmed Johnson, and this is an Intercontinental title match. But during this match, Vince again mentions to us that the Ultimate Warrior's suspended for no showing shows. He's just kind of painting the picture that Ultimate Warrior doesn't care about us fans, which he didn't.
Probably not. Yeah, probably true.
Do you have anything about this match? This is a pretty standard match.
There is a spot where Bart Gunn is crouched on the ropes, and Ahmed runs to do like a jumping shoulder tackle, and he jumps a bit too high and just absolutely eats shit on the floors. He always did that. He was very reckless with his body, and then that's why he always got hurt. But yeah, other than that, Bart Gunn's attempt at getting singles gold is not fruitful.
No, Ahmed wins with the Pearl River Plunge.
I will say Ahmed is over.
Yeah. Like we said, we definitely see why WWF was putting all this attention and storylines with Ahmed Johnson.
If only he could talk, man. He definitely would have been like the first black champion at that point.
It wasn't just that. I've heard interviews with D'Lo, Mark Henry, Ron Simmons, but he just didn't have the will to get better. So after that match, we do get a backstage interview with Shawn Michaels. Shawn says that every time he walks out there, he has to worry about coming back with the belt. And he says, one way or another, he will walk out with the title tonight. And in your house, he believes that he can trust Psycho Sid. Because a lot of people are saying, how could you trust Psycho Sid? Because Psycho Sid and Shawn have had issues in the past.
Can you trust him?
So we'll move over back to Nitro. We have Rough and Ready going against Harlem Heat, who come out with Sister Sherry. During the match, Colonel Parker joins Sherry with the Harlem Heat, even though he is the manager of Rough and Ready. So what's going on here? Conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
He's just doing the old Mac philosophy. He's playing both sides, so that way he always wins.
Always wins. And since it's a Harlem Heat match around this time, you know that there's never a clean finish.
Especially when Robert Parker gets involved with them.
Yeah.
But the announcers tell us that Sting is not here this week. He is in Japan. I think that was a good move for them because if he didn't go after Hogan tonight, it would have been kind of suspect.
Yeah, there had to be like a reason for Sting not to be there.
Yeah, that's a good reason to do it. Throughout the match, Sherry and Parker are seen bickering, but Colonel Parker distracts the ref, and then Sherry jumps on the apron and kisses Dick Slater, and this allows Booker T to get the pin for the win. The camera turns to Sherry, and she tells the camera, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Sister Sherry, she was one of the better managers, top 10.
But this match, of course, since this was a tag team title match, you're not going to have Rough and Ready beat Harlem Heat. There's just no money in Rough and Ready at this point. That's an 80s tag team at best. This was a no-brainer. But after this, we have a commercial break, and then after commercial, Kevin Green gets on the mic again saying he wants Mongo right now. Green says he wants to get this resolved before training camp, and Mean Gene comes out and he says, sorry, man, that might just not happen tonight. And Kevin Green says he would have to wait till after the season to settle this, and he will settle it in February. I just thought it was weird that Kevin Green's like, I want Mongo now. Well, maybe before training camp. Okay, well, maybe not next year.
Well, I think it is just he's a coward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he's scared of him. So yeah, the Kevin Green stuff kind of went nowhere. But whatever. We'll go on to our next match, and it is Medusa versus Osaka.
Malia Hosaka.
Thank you, Mike Tenay. They also announced during this match that at Hog Wild, Medusa and Bunakana will have a match where the winner will destroy the other's motorcycle. I just love the stipulation for the match. Like, why do I care?
Because it's Hog Wild, man. You got hogs. I think it was solely for just the bikers in the audience, because like they're like, oh no, don't destroy the bike. You know?
Jacob, we have to mention during this match of what Zbyszko on commentary.
I hate when there's a women's match or a cruiserweight match and Zbyszko's on commentary.
He says women don't belong in a wrestling ring. They belong in the kitchen. Wrestling is a man's world. And if you find a woman who keeps her mouth shut, take her home, or just some of the tidbits. I do not subscribe to this. I love women's wrestling now. Is, of course, better than it's ever been.
It's crazy. But yeah, I'm so glad that it's treated seriously now.
This stuff did not age well at all.
No.
But Medusa wins the match with the German suplex. And the crowd was receptive to Medusa.
They like Medusa. They do. Yeah. Medusa gets good reactions, but they keep pairing her with people that it's the Japanese wrestlers that no one knows. I wish they actually did something like of substantial with Medusa, because eventually you get the Oklahoma stuff, which is just AIDS. They're just having her go through, Japanese women's wrestlers to build for Hog Wild, where she fights Bull Nakano.
We'll move over to Raw. For the second match for Raw, we get the highly anticipated Mark Mero with Sable versus TL Hopper.
As Mero makes his entrance, the valet for Goldust shows up and hands Sable a gift.
Sable throws it to the ground. During the match, we go see Cornette backstage talking to his team and just showing how unified they are. And then during the match, we also go to a Stone Cold backstage interview. Stone Cold says Mero will pay for what he did to Stone Cold's face. If you remember at King of the Ring, he busted Stone Cold up really good in the mouth. Stone Cold says he is the best wrestler in the WWF, and Mero will pay big time, and that's the bottom line. The ending to this match, because I don't want to talk about anything about this match besides the ending.
You don't want to talk about TL Hopper?
TL Hopper, in case anyone doesn't know, he is a wrestling plumber. His interest music is toilet flushing over and over again. This is one of the dumbest things, and I cannot believe WWF had this going on the same time the NWO came out.
Yeah, and you wondered why you were getting your ass handed to you.
Wrestling fans around the world need to thank Bischoff and WCW.
Oh, God, can you imagine if WCW, how bad the WWF would have become? Oh, that would have been awful.
Yeah, so thank you, Bischoff. Thank you, WCW, because if it wasn't for you, WWF would suck.
Anywho, Mark Mero gets the win.
He gets the win with the punch. I don't know if they're calling it the Tutti Frutti, but that's what they called it in WCW. At least I'm not pushing TL Hopper, but the fact that he's on TV it pisses me off.
Vince McMahon's like, I need a whole group of jobbers, but they need to all have second sessions. Then next is the interview with Camp Cornette.
He says that their side and Shawn Michaels' side are like two warring countries, and Cornette says that his group got the first shot by taking Warrior out, and then Shawn Michaels' team got the next shot by getting Psycho Sid. Cornette says they are due for the next shot, and at Sunday, they're going to get a lot of shots in. And then Cornette hypes his team up. He goes one by one, talking about how great that guy is. He says Vader will be the man to take Shawn's title, and the Bulldog almost beat him, and Owen almost ended his career. So there's just showing what a thorn in Shawn Michaels' side Camp Cornette has been.
You can tell WWF clearly intended Vader to win that title, because like one of the In Your Houses is even called It's Time, and I don't even think Vader's on that card.
I believe that's correct. But yeah, that's that. It's just them saying, Shawn, you stand no chance. So we will go back to Nitro, where we will go to our fifth match, which is Ming with Jimmy Hart versus Arn Anderson. But Bischoff also tells us that not only is Sting not here, the Giant is not here as well. And then we see Hall and Nash. They're kind of on the backdrop there. We see big WCW letters, and now they're being covered by white cloth that displays the letters of the NWO.
I liked that. I thought that was a pretty nice touch.
I thought this was a good segment, and the crowd loved it. And I did like that it was foreshadowing the war that's coming between them. NWO isn't here just to be a part of WCW. They are here to take over, and it's not going to be WCW anymore. It's going to be NWO. I mean, we see Nash and Hall just kick back, relaxing. They got some alcoholic beverages, and they're just looking like they're having a good old time. During this match, Barbarian comes out, and Jimmy Hart distracts the referee, and this allows Barbarian to hit Arn Anderson from behind, and then Ming hits a super kick for the win. I was kind of surprised to see Ming win this match. But again, this was a Dungeon of Doom versus Four Horsemen. We got that feud going, so it's nice to see Dungeon of Doom get that in there.
Yeah, this match was decent. I mean, that's Arn Anderson and Ming, so how bad can it truly be?
Yeah, so I was fine with this. The match itself was decent. But after that match, we do get a ramp interview with Mongo McMichael and Deborah. Mongo asks, what is the fuss all about? And he asks if Kevin Green is still here. It's mighty convenient he came after Kevin Green left. Kevin Green just stuck around a little bit longer. But Mongo says that the fact that Kevin Green isn't here shows you where he is coming from. And then he takes a shot at the Panthers. He calls them expansion pukes. So I don't know how you took that.
He's right now.
Mongo says he is a professional and doesn't fight in the back alley, so if Kevin Green wants a piece of Mongo, then he needs to sign on the dotted line. Good businessman. You learned that in Horseman 101. And then Deborah gets her turn here, and this is going to be a weekly thing where she just keeps rambling on, and the crowd essentially gets tired of it and starts booing her.
She always got to talk about the pageant.
Yep. So she essentially just says Mongo didn't last 15 years in the NFL to let a punk like Kevin Green beat him. She runs down Mongo's accolades and records, and she says she doesn't know of any of Kevin Green's records.
I thought Deborah picked up in quick time how to get heat. Pretty good.
Oh, dude, they can't stand her ass. I thought she was good here. Sometimes she gets a little annoying, but that's okay.
But you're supposed to be, so I guess it works.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Vicky Guerrero's deal. I'll do the next match for Nitro, and then we'll be to the main events. So the next match for Nitro is Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. This is like the 5th time we've seen them wrestle. Now, before this one, what's the record?
All right, 2-2.
2-2. We got a rubber match here. Okay, perfect. Like most time, these matches are always usually good. Benoit hits Guerrero with a couple great power bombs. Benoit is dominating the majority of this match. But then, of course, we have a moment where Eddie and Benoit just take turns chopping the piss out of each other. Those are always nice moments. Eddie Kingston, this is how you do it. Sorry, another shot at him.
Benoit tries to get a power bomb, but Eddie turns to a hurricanrana that sends them out both outside. As they're both outside, and I guess the refs are distracted with something, Malenko comes up and slams Benoit to the ring post.
Yep. Guerrero got in at 9. You always, got to get him right in time, just barely.
So now Guerrero has a 3-2 advantage over Benoit. This is probably, the weakest one because it wasn't a clean finish.
Yeah, which if you're not going to have a clean finish, don't give me the great match.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially on TV. But yeah, that's that. So Eddie gets this one, and now Malenko and Benoit have some beef.
Yeah, now we got beef that we need to settle at Hog Wild.
Now we are on to the main events. Let's go to Raw. We have Billy Gunn with Sonny versus Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario, and this is a WWF title match. Not to be a downer, but Vince does make mention that Bret Hart's 13-year-old nephew passed away, and it is true he did. I don't remember exactly how, but yeah, pretty sad. During this match, though, we do have an Ahmed Johnson backstage interview. Ahmed says he will watch Shawn's back just like he watched his, and he says they will watch each other's backs, and that in your house, it will get raw. Careful there, Ahmed. I know we're trying to plug in the show name, but that could be up to interpretation. And there's another moment during this match that, again, wouldn't play well to today's audiences. Sonny jumps on the apron, and Shawn kisses her, and Sonny is appalled and goes to slap him, but Shawn ducks and then kisses her again.
There's also a spot where Shawn Michaels, pretend to grab her ass, and she runs away. I'm like, damn, Shawn.
He does. But what I do think is funny is that Shawn Michaels does this stuff with Sonny during the match. Of course, he's making unwanted advances, stuff like that. Where we just had,
when he was, and when he was like, oh, he's a womanizer, and they're like, no, they're trying to say it's no, he's like a good guy.
But yeah, so that's just something I picked up on. Again, it didn't offend me because I just know the world was a different place at this time. Another thing I noted from this is Billy Gunn hit what will be known as the famous Sir on Shawn. He's starting to do it more, which is a much better finish than, I don't even know what his finisher is at this point. But I know the tag team finish.
I don't think he has one because he's, I don't think he has one.
But during the match, we cut to the back and we see Camp Cornette. They got their bags packed and they are leaving the arena. But Cornette's going to stay behind to finish up some, probably some administrative work. You know how it is.
Some business,
but Bulldog, Owen Hart, and Vader, they're going to go leave early. And we have a commercial break. And then after commercial, Shawn hits the flying forearm, kip up, elbow drop, sweet chin music for the win. You know how it goes. After the match, Ahmed comes out and Shawn and him kind of hug each other, team kind of deal. And they go to leave the arena. As they are leaving the arena, Cornette walks up to Shawn Michaels and he throws a drink right in his face.
Right in his damn face. I thought I got a kick out of that.
Absolutely nailed him. Yeah, and then Camp Cornette, they come out and they jump Shawn and Ahmed backstage. I thought they left, dang it.
Yeah, and as they're brawling out of effing nowhere comes Psycho Sid driving a car.
He comes out of nowhere.
Nowhere, like a bat out of hell.
I loved it.
It was hilarious. It was like, he was ready to kick some ass.
But the show ends with the faces chasing the heels away as the show ends. I did like that they did a good job building up that 6-man tag match because with that being the main event, that means we're not going to have a WWF title match. And usually that signifies a weaker show. But I think they did a good enough job here at the end to make you invested into seeing Sid's return and that match.
I agree.
So we will go to the main event for Nitro. The main event for Nitro is going to be Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart versus Lex Luger. And this is a TV title match.
Yeah, one of the few times you will see Luger defend that title.
Yep. Luger is back from his, air quotes, injury at the Great American Bash. And during the match, we do cut backstage and see a limousine. And when you know it, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash come out. But we don't see Hogan yet. I thought they said he was going to be here. The match will continue on for a little bit. And then Nash and Hall walk towards the ring during the match. Bubba takes out a roll of coins. He's going to hit Luger with it, but he doesn't. Luger gets the coins, and he hits Bubba with the roll of coins. The outsiders see that. Then they get into the ring. They attack Lex Luger and beat him down. And then Hulk Hogan comes to the ring wearing all black, but he does not have the black beard yet. Kevin Nash then hits the jackknife on Lex Luger. Scott Hall smacks Luger in the face, and then Hogan does it as well, just slapping him all around. Hogan then helps Big Bubba up, and he goes to shake Bubba's hand, and Bubba's happy, that they're not beating him up, so he shakes Hogan's hands, and they kind of go along with this facade that Bubba's going to be the next member of the NWO, but then Nash and Hall beat up Big Bubba, showing that they were just playing around, and then they toss him out the ring.
Which is funny, because Bubba does end up being a member.
After Luger and Bubba are out the ring, Mean Gene gets into the ring and has an interview with the NWO. Hogan says he wished he would have done this 2 years ago.
I wish too.
Yeah, I know, right? We could have gotten rid of 95 Hogan. Hogan says the NWO is taking over wrestling, and Hogan himself is even bigger than wrestling. Hogan says he led our children down the right path, and he tells us that we have the nerve to boo Hulk Hogan. Well, we can stick it. He's going to run down all these Team WCW members. He says Macho Man blames him for his divorce, but Macho Man got divorced because he couldn't rise up to the occasion like Hogan can.
Got him.
Yeesh. He says he heard all of WCW blame their problems on Hogan, but Hogan is the one who made professional wrestling, and he is the greatest wrestler ever, and he will always be bigger than wrestling. But Hogan eventually, he just says where Hogan goes is where professional wrestling goes. Hogan says he is done with the kids because the kids didn't listen to him. He says he isn't worried about Sting or Macho Man. He is going to the top of the ladder, and then he challenges the Giant, and he tells Ted Turner that he is going to dismantle his organization, and he will make the WCW belt into the NWO belt. I thought this was a pretty good promo for Hogan. He is just running down WCW. He is making himself look like a total asshole.
No, that's fine.
His promo was just pissing this crowd off. They did not like this one bit.
No.
So that is that for Nitro. Again, it's going to be a Nitro victory. I like the end promo here. I like that we building up a little bit of Dean Malenko versus Chris Benoit, which that's a match that you don't necessarily need to have a feud to because there's such good wrestlers that people will want to watch that match no matter what. Yeah. But I like that we're putting some sort of story there.
Yeah, this is always nice.
And while I don't care about this too much, they are trying to build this Dungeon of Doom versus Horseman feud. So I just think throughout the card, there's just more stuff I liked.
Yeah, there's more to get, more to sink your teeth into.
But I will say this is a better Raw episode than last week's. Yeah, that is that.
So next, what we have is July 21st, 1996, and we have In Your House International Incident. Before the show starts, we have a recap of Free For All, where we see Jose Lothario and Jim Cornette get into an altercation, and then Vader and Shawn have to be separated as well. This is to further set up the Vader feud that we're going to have going into SummerSlam. But the first match of the night is the Smoking Guns with Sonny versus the Body Donnas. And this is not for the tag team titles, so that probably gives away who is going to win this match. But before the match, we do have an interview with the Body Donnas. They want to thank everyone for their interest in being their manager, but they tell us that Cloudy has convinced them that they don't need a manager. So that whole Cloudy thing lasted all of like 2 weeks and was a complete waste of everyone's time. It's no wonder that WCW is kicking WWF's tail right now. But back to the match, we have Sonny. She fakes being hurt, which fools Skip into checking on her. Sonny slaps him in the face, and this allows the Guns to hit a double clothesline on Skip. There is also a horrendous botch where Billy Gunn is supposed to jump over Bart. He's supposed to jump over Bart Gunn's back. It's supposed to be something similar to the world's greatest tag team finisher, the team with Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. They're trying to do that, but Billy Gunn, he botches it so bad that the crowd laughs at him, and he shouts at them to shut up. He seems to be kind of embarrassed that he botched that one so badly. But for a big spot in the match, we have Billy Gunn jumping off the top rope, but Skip reverses it into an atomic drop. The crowd seemed to like that spot, but the finish for this match is Bart Gunn has Zip in position for a sidewalk slam, but Skip drop kicks Bart Gunn, and Zip kind of lands on top of Bart Gunn for the win. Bart Gunn was stalling, holding Zip in the sidewalk slam position for a while, so the finish felt a little awkward. You can tell he was waiting for Skip to be in the right spot, but the Smoking Guns do lose the match. Sonny and the Smoking Guns are not happy with the surprise loss. This was not a great match, but it being non-title also kind of gave away who was going to win, so this I felt was a complete waste of time. But after this match, we have a backstage interview with Camp Cornette. Cornette says Jose Lothario pulled a switchblade on him, and that's why he tried to attack him earlier tonight. So Cornette continues on, and he guarantees that they will win the match tonight. And he says if they lose, then he will refund everyone their tickets and everyone watching the pay-per-view at home. So that's a lot of people he's going to have to give refunds to if his team loses tonight. The Bulldog tells Jim Cornette that he doesn't need to worry about the match tonight, and he tells us his wife is not coming to the ring tonight because he doesn't want her to see what he is going to do to Shawn. Owen Hart says that he wants to see Sid carried out like Ahmed, and he says they are the guys to do it. Cornette ends this promo with saying that Vader is crazy and he is coming after them tonight. So watch out, Shawn Michaels. But for our second match, we have Mankind versus Henry Godwinn with Hillbilly Jim. This match was supposed to be against Jake the Snake. They had been setting that up the past few weeks on Raw, but unfortunately, due to some health concerns for Jake the Snake, or at least that's what they're telling us, he was pulled from this match and Henry Godwinn is taking his place. But during commentary, don't let the health issues or health concerns stop Jerry the King Lawler from mocking Jake the Snake. He does it this whole match. He mocks his drug issues. It clearly seems that they are setting up a rivalry between Jake the Snake and Jerry the King Lawler because he is relentless during this match. There's a spot in this match that looked kind of painful. Henry Godwinn throwing Mankind back first into the concrete, but Mankind's well known for taking these spots. I'm sure that is probably an average day for him. But for us normal humans, that leg it hurt a ton. Henry Godwinn then gets Mankind back in the ring, and he goes for the slop drop, but Mankind holds onto the ropes, and this sends Henry Godwinn crashing to the ground, and then Mankind puts the mandible claw on him for the win. And then after the win, Mankind sprints to the back. It was kind of funny to see him just win and then just kind of run to the back. Not sure why he did that, but it was kind of funny nonetheless. And then after this match, we go backstage to one of the WWF Superstar line deals they do, the promos. And Brian Pillman is there, and he says the Smoking Guns are upset about a double team. Well, Brian Pillman says the Body Donnas want to double team Sonny. That line kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. And then next for a third match of the night, it is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mark Mero with Sable. And Stone Cold is still coming out to the Ringmaster theme he has. We're still not quite there yet. But before the match, we do see a replay of the exact moment Mark Mero busted Stone Cold's mouth. And again, very, very gruesome injury he had. Not one that will stop him from wrestling, obviously, but his lip was pretty much torn apart. But during this match, Stone Cold feigns another injury to his lip at one point, and then he pokes Mark Mero in the eye and slams his head into the ring post and just continues a relentless attack on Mero. During the match, Marlena comes out to the ring and gives Jerry Lawler a letter. Back to the match, Stone Cold hits the Stone Cold Stunner on Mero for the win. Mero kind of sold it as if he was taking a diamond cutter, which we all know from his WCW days. He knows how to take a diamond cutter. He's taken it quite a few times, so maybe he thought Stone Cold was going for that move again, or maybe he just had flashbacks. But either way, Stone Cold wins the match, and the crowd seems happy that Stone Cold won. And then after this match, we get an announcement that the Smoking Guns will be putting their tag team titles on the line against Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson on Raw. The Stone Cold Steve Austin Mero match, it was a decent match, but it's a matchup that we're going to see a few more times. Kind of gets repetitive, but they're not bad, but it's not anything that's going to blow anyone away. But next we'll go to our fourth match, and it was Goldust with Marlena versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Before the match starts, after Goldust comes out, Goldust appears to be scared of The Undertaker because we see him try to hop the barricade and leave the match, but he decides to come back to the ring, and he grabs the ref and slowly walks towards The Undertaker while still holding the ref. It's kind of a funny visual. It's kind of like a child hiding behind their mommy. But The Undertaker dominates the majority of this match. I'll fast forward a little bit. It was not a great match. The Undertaker tombstones Goldust and goes for the pin, but Mankind comes through the ring and drags Undertaker underneath the ring and eventually Mankind crawls back out of the hole in the ring, and then smoke starts coming from the hole in the ring. And then the Undertaker's music plays, so Mankind goes back into the hole to try to find the Undertaker, and the lights start to flicker for a while. Then we see the Undertaker tear his way through the ring on the other side, and he crawls out, and him and Mankind start brawling, and they brawl all the way to the back. And then we get a SummerSlam ad, and then after that ad, we go backstage, and we see the Undertaker and Mankind still battling backstage as they go into the Boiler Room. And you can see where this is going. We are obviously setting up their famous Boiler Room Brawl match that we're going to have here at SummerSlam. So after that match, we have a backstage interview with Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, and Psycho Sid. Shawn Michaels tells Jim Cornette to take a look at his gang, and he says, "You don't bring a knife to a gunfight." Ahmed says the time for talking is done, and then Sid reminds us that only 3 men will survive. So that leads us into our main event of Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, Psycho Sid versus Camp Cornette, consisting of Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Vader. During Shawn Michaels' entrance, something funny happens. The barricade falls down, and some fans fall right in front of him, and they almost land right on top of him. So WWF needs to do some better job securing those barricades. And then, as we mentioned before, ever since Sid came back, he has been over huge with these crowds, whereas he wasn't when he left. So those few months off did a ton of good for him. But for this match, Shawn Michaels does get a Hurricanrana on Vader, and then he crossbodies himself and Vader out of the ring, and then he does an over-the-top splash to Vader in kind of a quick sequence. He's ready to go after Vader. And Ahmed actually busts out some moves he doesn't typically use. He does some German suplexes. He does about 3 German suplexes in a row, which is surprising for him. He doesn't usually do that. There was a cool-looking spot where Vader tries to splash Ahmed Johnson in the corner, but Ahmed catches Vader, and then he power slams him. I'm okay with that spot when they're of Ahmed Johnson's stature. And also, another thing that happens during this match is that a fan tries to enter the ring. He doesn't quite make it into the ring before Bulldog and Ahmed Johnson chase him away, but it's there. You see it. Unlike in the Bash at the Beach, where the WWF Network cuts out the fan coming into the ring, this one is still there. But eventually, Camp Cornette takes turns beating on Shawn for a while, but Shawn is eventually able to get a hot tag to Psycho Sid, who then chokeslams every member of Camp Cornette. This leads us to our finish. The finish is Shawn Michaels hits Vader with Jim Cornette's racket, and he goes for Sweet Chin Music, but Jim Cornette grabs Shawn's leg, and then Vader splashes Shawn in the corner and then hits the Vader bomb for the surprise win. I guess we had to know that Camp Cornette was going to win after Jim Cornette offered refunds to everybody. We had to know that wasn't going to happen. But after the match, Ahmed Johnson and Psycho Sid clear the ring, and Sid powerbombs Owen and then goes to powerbomb Vader, but Bulldog and Owen pull Vader out of the ring, and then Shawn dives over the top rope and crashes into Vader. And then the faces pose in the middle of the ring to end the show. There is an after pay-per-view segment that tells us that Mankind and The Undertaker will wrestle in a Boiler Room Brawl at SummerSlam, and then we see Vader and Jim Cornette telling Gorilla Monsoon that they deserve a title shot. I guess that's going to be at SummerSlam. Before the show, we kind of went quickly through it. It wasn't a great in-your-house episode. Again, there's no WWF title match. There's no Intercontinental title match. And in fact, there's not even a tag team title match. So we had no title matches on this show. So you can tell they were kind of just wanting to get to SummerSlam, get some stuff out the way. That way they could get to some more interesting stuff. But this show is mainly there to help build Vader versus Shawn, and it's a good thing they got the win here because it makes Vader seem like a little bit more of a threat, even if it was through by cheating means. But this was very much a mid pay-per-view, and again, no title match. All the undercard stuff was very underwhelming, but yeah, just not great stuff.